Hello everyone out there on the World Wide Web. Welcome back to another episode of emerging from my depressive episode to text back my friends and family and bring you some content. I made a video for you. A little while ago, a question popped into my mind. Does YouTube still have a right-wing radicalization problem? There's been a good amount of media coverage on this idea over the years. The idea that YouTube's recommendation algorithm pushes people towards more extreme political content, usually on the right. Young, impressionable, this type of thing. Start out watching some run-of-the-mill, anti-woke, anti-social justice warrior content. Your Crowders, Petersons, Carls, Shapiros, Rubins, dime a dozen these guys, and eventually find themselves smashing that subscribe button on the YouTube channels of real-life white supremacists. People like Stefan Molyneux, Lauren Southern, Richard Spencer, and David Duke. Yeah, that David Duke, the former Grand Wizard of the KKK, had a YouTube channel. He was doing travel vlogs or something? I don't know. The problem is that media coverage of the pipeline effect has been mostly anecdotal. There are some really good stories, like in the New York Times, The Making of a YouTube Radical, and many others. I'll link some in the description. And I've personally read a lot of comments talking about how the edgy, anti-SJW, anti-woke YouTube has led people to some very bad places. But are these examples indicative of a widespread problem that's caused by the algorithm itself? And is that problem still around today? Why don't we look at the data? Why don't we look at your dad? There have been a few studies done on this. One of the more recent ones is pretty comprehensive. Algorithmic Extremism, Examining YouTube's Rabbit Hole of Radicalization. It uses a lot of data and graphs and information and numbers to conclude that this radicalization by the algorithm narrative is kind of difficult to find. The study identified 4 claims to test. Of the 4 evaluated claims, only one was partially supported, that one being that viewers who already watched extreme content were sometimes shown more of it. But the radicalization pipeline claims were not. Viewers of moderate to politically right content were very rarely shown extreme content. Another more recent study from the Anti-Defamation League had similar findings. They identified 2 groupings of channels. The first, alternative. This included names like Steven Crowder, Candace Owens, Laura Loomer, and members of the intellectual dark web, which is like One Direction for sort of bigoted doofuses. The second group, extremist or white supremacists, which they don't provide the complete list for publicly to prevent the amplification of these channels, but Mike Cernovich and Faith Goldie were 2 examples that they gave. Faith is not doing so hot. You can pay her in Bitcoin from her YouTube bio. Supporting small creators is important, I guess, but Mike, he's still going.
Have you ever heard of the parable of the frog?
Nice, Mike. In the data, videos from the alternative channels made up only 1.1% of recommendations, and from extremist channels, 0.1%. Tiny baby numbers. But just like the prior study, they did find that if people had been viewing alternative content, the recommendations were significantly higher, 37.6% for other alternative content and 2.3% for extremist content. Of course, it is still a problem that this content is even on the platform at all and being viewed by people. But it seems difficult to prove that the algorithm is what brought them there, and not their own individual agency or preconceived beliefs. If you have high levels of racial resentment, for example, you'll probably find your way to those super far right places. And if you don't, you won't, according to the study at least. A metaphorical nail in the coffin of the radicalization by algorithm theory comes from a late 2019 paper by Penn State researchers that calls into question if the algorithm pipeline ever even existed. The journalistic consensus of the pipeline theory, according to the researchers, has always been just that: media coverage of specific stories that follow a narrative that is both understandable and attractive, but also premature and unsupported by data. Instead, they propose a supply and demand framework for far-right extremist content. View counts speak to trends in the demand for ideological content. To study supply, Figure 5 plots the number of videos uploaded by each ideological group by month. Right around the time viewership of conservative content started skyrocketing, conservative content creation also rose dramatically. Conversely, despite the alt-right and alt-right stepping up its content creation activity in 2017 to 2018, viewership of such content has been declining. So basically, a functioning pipeline? Not really. Hey everybody, quick editor's note. I think a better way to say this is it's really hard to measure. One critique of these studies that I found after filming essentially states that the quantitative analysis, like what's being used, doesn't really work because the radicalization is a behavioral tendency. I'll link that in the description, but yeah. Okay, back to the show now. You'll only be shown extreme stuff if you've already been watching extreme stuff, and you'll probably only get there by seeking it out. The viewers of the furthest right content were often found viewing similar content on other sites, meaning that their exposure exposure to this content was not exclusive to YouTube and its algorithm. Okay, so follow-up question. Why is white nationalist content even on the platform at all? If we know it's there, why not just get rid of it? You know? But most of the channels in the extremist category brush right up against the line of the terms of service, and most of those who cross it are banned. The end of the pipeline group that I mentioned earlier, Stefan Molyneux, Richard Spencer, David Duke, and Lauren Southern, have all been banned as of early 20... Wait. She's live right now. Okay, well, most of the channels have been banned, and this is thanks in part to YouTube's 2019 policy updates. Aside from these bans and others, tens of thousands of channels were reportedly purged during that time. The 2019 crackdowns included hiring more content moderators, tightening up its hate speech policy, and apparently adjusting the algorithm to provide a more politically balanced viewing experience. Exactly how this last point works, meaning the algorithm itself, is not public information, because why would YouTube squirt its secret sauce anywhere that they didn't want it to be squirted? But YouTube's basic claim is that instead of providing a more extreme version of the content that you're watching in the recommended feed, it will give you something more mainstream, moderate, or from an official source to avoid this sort of rabbit hole effect. And looking at the numbers, it seems like these steps are doing a decent enough job. It's not perfect because this kind of stuff is still out there and people are finding it, but it is improving, maybe? I don't know. So shout out to YouTube and the Alphabet Corporation for saving the world and making it a better place because they wanted to, and not because of the profit motive or advertisers threatening to pull out or anything like that. That would be super fucked up. Corporations are good. All of this stuff kind of tracks with my anecdotal experience of using the platform. Yes, there was a time when YouTube's recommendation system was pretty aggressive. Watch one tutorial on how to make your bed, and soon enough, you'd be in a congressional hearing advocating for universal basic sexual intercourse redistribution. As I said before, I think there are plenty of stories of people being drawn into alt-right thinking by the algorithm. But now, things on YouTube feel different. Most of the prominent conservative political content today is this nicely packaged, impotent brand of conservative values, which is mostly just whining.
Critical race theory is basically just an import. Let's tear down all of the systems and restore systems of actual discrimination, reverse discrimination, in order to restore some sort of equality of outcome.
Culture war garbage with some anti-vax stuff mixed in.
The parents are all vaccinated if they're good, decent citizens. So I don't really understand the connection, actually.
Are you a good, decent citizen? Are you vaccinated?
It's nobody's business whether I'm vaccinated. That's like me asking you the last time you got laid. I mean, it's just irrelevant.
Made by some of the most reprehensibly boring and unfunny people on planet Earth.
Not to mention the Afghanistan pullout that obviously caused the death of Americans and plenty of our Afghan allies, going directly against the advice of military leaders with no accountability. So this is why you're seeing people out there, I think... Fuck Joe Biden?
Yes, I think that's the sentiment, yeah.
And because their audiences keep coming back with an abundance of shitty options, there doesn't seem to be a need to get more extreme. Right-wing YouTube viewers are satisfied with their product. It's not financially viable for YouTube to rile them up into white nationalism any more than they already are. So did the free market just end racism? Okay, that's a joke. But the real question is this problem kind of solving itself? And that remains to be seen. More studies required. I'm really interested in your thoughts though, so comment if you have any. Or if I'm just completely wrong on this whole thing, that's always a possibility. I'm what many people might call a very dumb guy, so you can't hold me responsible for anything. There's a cool website on the internet.com called TransparencyTube, which gives a visual representation of which political YouTube channels are getting the most traffic. The bigger the bubble, the more views. The channels are grouped by political labels, from mainstream media to partisan left, partisan right, anti-woke, all the way down to white identitarian. Ooh, that one sounds fun. You can sort it by time period to see how the data has changed. It's a very interesting tool. If we scroll all the way down to the bottom, we find LeftTube, which is Hassan, Vosh, and Russell Brand, apparently. Nice work, everybody. No, but if we click on it, we do see some familiar names. Hi, everyone. But as you can see, this first screen is littered with Shapiro bubbles, like the most annoying soap you've ever used. Legacy media companies with zillions in the bank and editorial oversight are only slightly ahead. And if you sort by year, you'll see that this accounts for billions of views. In tandem with the findings of our data section, categories like QAnon and white identitarian channels are not doing so hot. They are but blips on a big thing where blips wouldn't really get noticed. Trump is out of office. The alt-right died. Probably with Charlottesville. Richard Spencer is a broke guy. And according to that Penn State study we looked at earlier, demand for extremist content peaked in 2017, which lines up with all of these events. And in its place, we now have these carefully curated, polished, conservative media figures that pretty much stick to the script, no matter how elementary that script might be.
Slavery was not invented by white people.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
When they want to get extreme, they use dog whistles.
I have less political power because they're importing a brand new electorate. Why should I sit back and take that?
When they want to be anti-vax, they do it, but kind of tread lightly. One of the running bits on all of these channels is whenever they're spraying vaccine hesitancy from their vaccinated mouths, they say like, oh, we gotta be careful what we say here. Big Brother or SWAT listening to us talk about the real science.
This is something we always have to be really careful in discussing on YouTube because you can't necessarily cite peer-reviewed published studies.
Not necessarily.
What a world. If they just don't like them.
Yeah.
Do your own research, people. 1984. George Orwell was a freedom-loving patriot guy. As annoying as this bobbing and weaving is, it works. Channels which have made the transition from early regressive viral content to what we see today by following the rules are getting more views than they ever have and making a lot of money and probably aren't going anywhere. The channels which haven't made the transition have withered away into obscurity. Yes, 4chan still exists, but who's getting radicalized on poll in 2021 and why? Donald Trump election fraud? That's your Civil War rallying cry. Oh, you got the polls and the poll workers and the ballot boxes. Really? No. You are taking your daily Ben pill and going to sleep. In some ways, this is good. Capitalism breeds innovation? Capitalism has given YouTube a reason to ban racist YouTubers? Okay, well, okay, some of them. Alright, barely any of them. But the ones that did get banned were pretty bad. So thank you to capitalism for making this possible. Love you guys' work, thank you. But the popularity of this consumable conservatism gives me an eerie feeling. Many of these channels purport ideas that are pretty much just as bad as the more extreme ones. But because they're careful, they're allowed to do it in front of literally billions of people. So I can't help but wonder, is this any better than what we had before? I don't want extremism, but I also don't want whatever this is.
Why do you need
the way.
a black James Bond? What did you do to my watch? What the fuck
is
was
this?
my watch and my car? I can't, you look, I can't see the plate on the car. You know what's gonna happen with 50? I'll get pulled over for that shit. I can't do that shit. Dropping spikes and shit. I don't Roger Moore moonrake motherfucker. And the problem is that I'll get pulled over for that shit. I can't do that.
In order to explore this eerie feeling, I decided to make a conservative burner account. I wanted to test out giving a fresh, unspoiled YouTube algorithm high doses of right-wing content interest to see where it would take me, if it would take me anywhere at all. It's not that I don't trust the research we looked at, but I just want to see for myself. So to close out this little video, here is that experience. First rule when making a burner account, make sure you don't have a suspicious username. Lay low. That's what people who do crimes like to say. First name, Jim. Last name, Gary. Conservative guy who is normal. 1. Born on... Okay, well that one's easy. Christmas morning. You start off on a fresh account on YouTube's default screen. Square one of the human soul. Or ground zero, depending on how your life goes. As much as I'd love to click all these very clickable squares, I'm not here to mess around. I'm a God-fearing, hot, wet, red-blooded American, Caucasian, male, conservative, and I'm here to consume some content. So where do we begin? Well, remember the Shapiro bubbles? Why not start there? Bench brow. So once I turn the volume off and set it to double speed, I just let it run for a little while. Went to take a shower, stand in a room, lay down in a room. I came back, started just clicking everything in sight. Liking, subscribing, commenting. Aw, this lady. Aw, this guy. What's this guy up to? This is why Columbus Day matters. Tucker. This is happening all over the country. The infographics they put on these shows are scary to toddlers and 80-year-old people only. Cancel culture backfires as thousands of students sign up for... Wait, that's a child. That is a small baby child. Oh, so Greta's too young to tell you to recycle, but now we got freaking this lady over here doing some stuff. I don't care about this enough to make any more jokes. Let's just move on. Oh, wait. Oh, God. That's the professor? No, sorry. That's not, you got the wrong guy. That guy is not a real guy. What is he missing? Doesn't matter. Fake guy. There you go. Problem solved. Guy who is live streaming, talking about some stuff. 177,676. That is almost 200,000 years from now, buddy. I think you're a little early. Lol. Anthony, Brian, Logan. More like John, Jim, Jake. In case you wanted another name, that's just 3 first names. Lol. Steven Crowder, YouTube Shorts. Oh, God.
Well, today is both Columbus Day, as of now, and this is why you're asking the question, as well as Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm not aware of any discussion of ending that, either of ending the prior federal holiday at this point, but I know that...
What was that? Why did they do that? What was that supposed to be? It cuts to the Chucky doll, and they're trying to say she looks like Chucky, but the format is so much different. It's like a completely different image, and it's like cut for like 0.3 seconds, and it has like a fuzzy pink, supposed to be like a communist hat. That's such bad visual comedy. The thing about Crowder's show that's so funny is that he pays like 7 people to be in this room with him to laugh at his jokes. That's why they're there. It's like to be his comedy audience, and they never do. He still cannot even get a single chuckle from anyone.
Recognizing today as Indigenous Peoples Day is something that the president felt strongly about personally. He's happy to be the first president to celebrate and to make it the
speaker
history moving forward.
Felt strongly. No, that was his urinary tract infection.
Yes. When he was a boy, he learned nothing of Columbus Day and how Columbus...
And it just cuts off. Like, they just don't give a f***. It just cuts right off. That's another part of it. There's like everyone in the room is also trying to riff as well and be funny. So nobody's laughing. It's like an open mic night. Like everyone in the audience is other comics. Beanie guy in an armory and Bo's chair talking about other weird guy. His co-host looks like a Phineas and Ferb character that doesn't have enough blood. Lol. Ben Shapiro reacts to even more insane woke TikToks.
People really seem to like you responding to the TikTok videos. Let's do more of those.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by while we calm the Shapiro. Editing comedy. It's funny to make funny edits. As a comedy editor, I like to make my audience laugh every time by using funny effects and comedy style tactics. Thanks, Adobe Premiere Pro.
This video is sponsored by Giant Partners.
This video is sponsored by Giant Partners. This video is sponsored by Big Guys. Bunch of big guys walking around. Big guys, if you're a big guy, tall guy, a giant sort of partner, sort of a gay man, gay partner, or a partner in crime, like Batman and Robin, and you're a large, thank you for helping us by supporting this channel.
You know what helps to keep kids safe? Being kids. That is literally the #1 factor in keeping kids safe from COVID. Not the masks, not the vaccines, the fact that they are small children.
This is the pandemic version of just rub some dirt on it. Kids are gonna be kids. Kids are gonna poop their pants and try to eat it, and just let them do it. It builds their immune system and germ protection viruses. Very strong young boy. This guy is what? Look at this image. Look at this guy. He is like a human enthusiast PC build. That's what this reminds me of. Perfectly Snow White accents. His hair, his little beardy beard, his shirt, his microphone, the pulsating LED circle, and the black coat and black microphone, and his sort of pink head, is sort of soft pink round cranium, and the camera slowly panning. I love it. It's a real freak on display. I don't even really feel like evaluating the content of this. I just love the form. I love the way all of their stuff is presented.
I just think capitalism is stupid and it doesn't work. I mean, obviously, look at our country. It doesn't work.
Okay, can we pause it there for 1 second? My favorite is when people who are wearing things that they bought at a store that are much nicer than anything they could get in a communist country.
Oh, God.
Capitalism obviously doesn't work. She said while wearing a sweatshirt that she got at a store, and sunglasses she got at a store, and carrying a purse that she got at a store.
It's the meme, you know. Oh, curious. You criticize society, but you participate. Very curious indeed.
Yes, communism is obvious. Just look at our country. It doesn't work. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Honestly, Shapiro to me is very entertaining. You know, just vacuous content, and obviously a bigot, but his little kind of, he plays this little character that's kind of like cute and fun, you know? I'm having way too much fun with this experience to glean anything useful about the algorithm or radicalization, and actually that might be saying a lot. Really makes you think. So throughout this process, the thing that most stood out to me was how hilariously awful the advertisements are if YouTube thinks you're an old person. Full disclosure, I actually don't know what YouTube ads normally look like. I pay for YouTube Premium. I'm sort of a global elite, so I never see them. If you guys see any of these, let me know. I don't mean to be classist, but they're so funny. So the first ad I saw was this extremely dystopian, artificially sentient burger flipping machine. So this is what you see when the algorithm has absolutely no clue who you are. It's taking a shot in the dark. You clicked on a Ben Shapiro video. Maybe you own a fast food franchise. I don't know. Very funny the way they depict the robot arms co-workers being happy with its performance, as if they'll even be there when that thing is there. They won't. Very grim how this is framed. Act now to be able to invest in technology that will replace all those burger flippers. Not sure if this was intentional, but the robot's camera system is it's the fucking Squid Game motion sensor from Squid Game, the Squid Games. It's literally the same thing, down to the heat sensor and everything. I love the real world. Did Donald Trump leave one last gift for his supporters before he left office? Yes, he left a tiny scroll in his desk that you have to break into the White House to steal. What do you think the insurrection was all about? It's no secret that most homeowners in America are Republicans. Look at those Democrats always paying rent, being homeless. Dummies. Just get a job. Oh, you have one? Get another job. Oh, you have two? Okay, well then you should probably just die. I don't know. Can you pass this IQ quiz with Emma Stone? Who's that? Oh my god, what is this? The programmer that wrote this webpage did it from Chernobyl. And what is this? What is this? What is it? Where am I? I just want to take my quiz. By far the funniest ad was an ad for this phone charger that supposedly reprograms your phone to make it faster and smarter.
Rather than spending $1,200 to $1,800 on a brand new smartphone every year, this $37 device is the best and most cost-effective way to turn your slow smartphone into a lightning-fast handheld supercomputer that will last a lifetime. The gadget uses extremely advanced AI technology that overrides your smartphone's operating system, making any slow loading times completely disappear from your phone.
They put so much effort into trying to convince you that it's not just a regular phone charger that's $40. Look, we got a team. There's a team. Math, numbers, technology. And you just look it up and it's a scam. Okay, so this is what the end result of my YouTube homepage looks like. No Nazis, nothing that wild. Just a bunch of annoying creeps that actually probably are Nazis, but they hide it really well. This is probably going to need to be an ongoing series where I revisit this conservative burner account and see what the algorithm is showing to it, because I only spent a few hours LARPing as a conservative, and instead of being radicalized, I was just kind of laughing at how ridiculous all this stuff is. Right-wing extremists are still out there. They're creating echo chambers. God knows what's going on over at Facebook, but if white supremacy isn't in your heart, then it shouldn't show up on your feed. And to me, it seems like most people with brains should be able to see right through this new wave of conservative superstars and all their little tricks and games and have a good laugh at them. And I fully endorse any channels that make content like this that makes fun of them, because the rate at which they are continuing to grow scares me a lot, and pointing out how dumb they are is a noble task taken on by only the bravest of online posters. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to do all that stuff you're supposed to do. Press all those buttons down below. This was a shorter, sort of more casual video. As I ramp up production again, I hopefully get you guys some more video essay and commentary style content, and on a more consistent basis. But let me know what you thought, and thank you. Bye. Goodbye. See ya.